Hello, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Deidre Reigel Hope and Healing Radio Show. This is no ordinary podcast. This production has heart and soul, healing and wisdom, artists and authors. Deidre has spent her entire life promoting people, projects, and products that further hope and healing. She has also been a positive force in the entertainment industry as a vocalist, performer, musician, composer, conductor, author, and healer. You will be in good hands spending this time with her and her guests as they will guide you into another space where you can relax and feel their positive energy. Thank you for joining us. And now, here is the amazing Deidre Reigel with her special guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 3 of the Artist series. This series is about honoring artists and the value that they bring to our world and what it takes for them to do that for all of us. Today's guest, as I say, is Halie Loren, and let me give you a little bit of information about Halie before I engage her in conversation. She's a singer-songwriter since the age of 13. She's won many awards for her music. At 19, she was in Nashville. At 20, she released her first album, and she was off and running. She has received top Billboard recognition, has an international following throughout Korea, Africa, Japan, Canada, and the Caribbean, just to mention a few. She is a jazz singer, multilingual, and she has just been doing some very, very, very exciting things in her career that I'm going to be chatting with her about. Let me give you her website information right at the top of this interview, and that website information is www.halieloren.com. I'd like to spell that. That is HALIELOREN.com. She's also findable, very findable, on Facebook under the name Halie Loren. So without any further ado, Halie, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with you.
It's so great to have you on the show again. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule because I know how busy you are. And one of the reasons I wanted to ask you on the show is you are, in my mind, the epitome of the artist who has spent their entire life devoted to your art, to give to your audiences. I myself have been in your audience, and as a performer myself, I know what it takes to create and get on that stage and give. So this is why I'm so excited to have you on the show and catch up with you and find out what you're doing. So we're just going to have a great time together today.
Well,
we always do.
Like it, definitely.
So I want to ask you right off the top, what inspires you?
What inspires me? Oh, my goodness. Well, the list is long, but I would have to say that probably near the top of my list is the natural world and just being sort of being inspired by nature, by my upbringing. You know, I grew up in Alaska. I was kind of a wild child in a different sense, not in that I was getting into lots of trouble, but in that I was sort of had this free-range childhood where I got to sort of just explore the forest and the ocean and, be out in the open sky for so much of my time in my formative years. And I'm so grateful for that because that for me is sort of the palette from which I can create. That gives me energy and gives me sort of a sense of wonder. And that for me as an artist is what I really need for fuel, is that sense of magic and wonder that I get from being out in natural spaces. So I would say that's a huge part of my inspiration. Traveling, that inspires me a lot now that I get to do so much of it for my work. Just the experiences that come from having your eyes opened to new experiences in the world and new ways of looking at things, new cultures and new languages. And I guess just staying open is what inspires me.
I hear you. You know, you spoke about nature and it inspiring you, and it shows up in your music. I mean, your most recent album is called Sky, From the Wild Sky, and it's just so inspiring. Myself, I understand going out in nature and feeling that power, being able to travel, and picking up so much information from other cultures. And I think that as one of your fans, I hear it woven through your music so beautifully. and so beautifully expressed. That's a great answer to what inspires you, staying alive and being in the world and really expressing. Isn't that wonderful? Just wonderful.
I'm very blessed. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, you truly are. And, of course, you share this with all of us. And that causes me to ask you, what impact or effect would you like to see your particular artistry make in our world, Halie?
Well, I mean, that's in terms of my sort of hopes for what the music will bring to the world, it kind of shifts a little bit with each song or with each new project. Sort of I have a little bit of a different shift in my focus, in my personal focus, but sometimes it's I'm wanting to get across a specific message that I hope really resonates. But other times, just in general, my hope is that I can provide a service to people, that I can provide some kind of an inspiration for others to help them experience something more richly, when it's a good experience, whether it's good or sad or cathartic. Music helps to sort of bring out the qualities that are meaningful, I feel like, in an experience. And so my greatest hope is just that a song will find its way to somebody's ears who needs to hear that song at that particular time and helps, heal something for them. The most amazing gift that I receive as an artist, but particularly as a songwriter, is when I receive messages, and this does happen. This recently happened, actually, with somebody who described the effect that one of my songs had on their father, who was in the hospital after having experienced a stroke, and how my song was like on repeat, and it seemed to be like this medicinal quality for this person in their recovery. And I was just like taken aback. This message just came out of nowhere, and that happens at the most amazing moments for me, where I sort of have these moments of questioning, like what is my greater purpose? And then I get a message like that, or like I've had messages from fans who've discovered my music and have used it for other purposes in their lives, where it really brought meaning to or brought comfort at difficult moments. And just those are sort of the things that make me feel like, wow, that's what this exists for. It's not about me, it's about that. And yeah, I want to keep doing that.
Yes,
I have sort of I have even more of an impulse to really want to create something that drives, drives positive change, positive change in individual lives. And I think a lot about nature. I think a lot about sort of the suffering of the planet and how it just feels sometimes so out of my own personal control. And I do what I can in my own life to help, reduce my impact and all kinds of things. But my goal right now is to just think about, how can music help that? How can music help change hearts? How can music help affect some kind of global change? Not that I think my music is going to create a global movement, but just how can each artist sort of help contribute to sort of a raising of awareness or raising of hope or consciousness about how we're all in this together, and it's something worth caring about.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And let me just offer a little story here that is related to how we artists serve each other and how we work with each other to serve the greater good. The very fact that you and I are speaking today in this interview is the result of our friend Lynn Walker reaching out to make a radio interview with you. And, of course, I mentioned Shalia Smith in all of this, and I think that got you on the Susan Brender show, if I recall correctly. Mm-hmm. And then Lynn called me and said, Deidre, I know your book has just come out. Here's Susan Brender's name. You need to get on Susan Brender's show. And then I met Deborah Jane East, who does all this wonderful editing. And through all of that, through Lynn, I met Shalia, I met you, you met me, and this is the collaboration that we artists can make, and it serves a greater purpose. Only my music, and I say the same thing as an artist, it's not just only Deidre's music or only Tom's music or Harry's music or Jane's music. It's all of us together. And that's why I'm doing this series, because all of us artists contribute. And if we support each other beautifully, then we are creating something much larger than ourselves. And I believe in the heart of us artists is where we live, in that we would like to serve. And the more we serve each other and serve ourselves, the more we serve the world. And I'm talking in a very positive way. And you've just said that so beautifully, that you know your music is going beyond what you believe it might have gone. But what a gratification that is to you, Halie. Beautiful, beautiful thought.
Well, thank you for that. It resonates with me on almost a daily basis.
Of course it does.
Yeah, I think, age has some drawbacks, but it has way more benefits in my opinion. You can't maybe always do the things that you did when you were 20 years old, but you sure can get a bigger perspective in some ways because of all of if you leave yourself open, life will hand these lessons out without even asking.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. So for me, I feel like, music, I feel like an art are definitely still forms of a very satisfying mode of self-expression. I feel like at the beginning of my career or my experience as an artistic person, I feel like mostly it was driven by just the need to self-express, the need to sort of get something out there, to be sort of cathartic, or to sort of it was more of an internal process of sort of wanting to have something to say. And that's still a part of it. But I feel like for me now, I'm also really trying to think of, like, when I'm creating something, I still create for the purpose of catharsis. But a lot of the times, the things that I choose to put out there into the world, well, I feel like not only do I want to say this, but I feel like do I need to, like, does this need to be said? Does this feel like some kind of thing that could help somebody else? I guess I feel a little more purpose-driven than just the need to self-examine. And
understood.
Because I do all kinds of artistic things that are strictly for my own enjoyment, but a lot of times when I'm making music, I want it to also be something that can be relatable. And sometimes that can be a very personal kind of thing. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. But, like, my desire to sort of put out, I guess, things that are a lot more, what do I want to say? I really like things that have dark undertones, but if it's like 100% dark, I'm kind of not going to go there. I don't feel like I want to put that energy into that being something that's out there in the world that is for anybody besides maybe me if I'm having a bad day. So I feel like that's been a shift for me. But I also feel like a lot of the stuff that, because of the amount of years that I've been writing songs and making this art, the things that I feel are very personal messages also tend toward being pretty universal messages when I actually put it out there for people to hear. Like, I get a lot of feedback about people who say, I've been through the exact same experience. And I think that's one of the wonderful things about being an artist who's been doing it for a long time, is you start to crystallize your thoughts in different ways. So things that feel super personal actually turns out it's just human. It's pretty universal in many ways.
Isn't it? Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? So you've come out with this newest album, From the Wild Sky, which you and I have spoken about before. How does that reflect your current growth and your shifts as an artist?
Yeah, it is quite a different album if people started listening to my repertoire, in the last like 7 or 8 years or 10 years. I initially started out, my first recording that you mentioned that I was making when I was 19 and 20 years old, that was an all original singer-songwriter album. And then I started really delving into more of my sort of jazz my love of jazz with every consecutive album after that. But with this album, I sort of returned to my roots in a way. Not that jazz is not my roots, because it's part of my roots as well. But the singer-songwriter part of me that has a little bit less regard for a genre definitely came out with this album. And this album is intensely personal, but in the ways that I was talking about earlier, where I think it's like, I tried to, not necessarily consciously, but I ended up finding sort of songs that bonded together with these sort of autobiographical but also somewhat universal themes of a study on what it feels to me it is to be a human being living this life, living my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I kind of went to some scary places, not in that they were, scary is not the right word, but places that felt really vulnerable, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Scary just to put it out there, like, are you sure you want to say this? This feels like it's from your journal. But it turns out from the feedback that I've gotten from a lot of people who've heard the album that it's from their journals too.
That's it.
But I feel like, the focus, there's a lot of like study on the act of what it is to let go of things, to kind of live a life where what we all have to do, which is eventually things pass, things come into our lives, things pass, and the figuring out of how to do that gracefully, or how to invite that as a desirable thing. Like, some of the songs aren't about the negatives or the sadness or difficulty of letting go. It's more of like sort of letting yourself let go of the things that no longer serve you, so that these amazing things can come in. And that's been sort of the gift of my 30s. I think it's really coming to terms with that as like a constant. And it can either be something I can mourn and push against, or allow and even celebrate. And this album is sort of reflective of that.
It is, indeed it is. And of course I've enjoyed the album for that very reason, Halie, because I relate to so much of the album, as do all of us. And again, this is the gift that we artists give. So just a little shout out about a piece on that album before I ask the final question for the day. Your piece called Noah, N-O-A-H. You made a video out of it. It was nominated for an Emmy, and it won an Emmy for Best Music Video in the Southeast Chapter Awards. And I want our listeners to know that. And I just want to celebrate with you and congratulate you and everybody who was involved in that. That is just terrific.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that was quite a sweet surprise, and I am super proud of the producers who worked on that, and the director, Tang Ho, who was the one who made it all happen in the first place. And they're a really wonderful creative team of a lot of them are students at the Savannah College of Art and Design in Atlanta. And I was just blown away by the amount of talent that I got to work with on this project, and they just did such a wonderful service to the song, and touches me every time I've seen it. I'm like, wow, we made this together.
Yeah, together. Another example of wonderful collaboration to express and serve. And again, this is something I'm very excited. I know we're coming to the end of our time, Halie, and I'm going to pose the last question for today and then tear myself away from our conversations, because I always so enjoy our time together. What kinds of projects are? Yeah. So what are you up to now? What kinds of projects? What's coming? Give us a little hint here.
Well, I've got some really really fun touring things that I'm going to be doing in the fall. I'm really excited to play my first set of concerts. I'm doing a whole mini tour in Montana, which is going to be great. I'm coming to to Montana this fall, and then also I'm going to be touring in Canada again, which I love going there. I'm going to Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto this fall in October. And I've got some shows actually in the Midwest happening in Wisconsin and in Tennessee and beyond. And so I'm looking forward to all of that and the things that are kind of shaping up for spring, I'll be putting out some updates on my tour calendar on my website for all of these things in the next little bit.
So, Halie, I know you have some very exciting things coming up. Can you give us a hint of what's coming down the pike?
Sure thing. Yeah, well, I've got some really fun touring things happening this fall, and I will be touring through Montana for the first time, but not the last time for the next 6 months, actually. Hint, hint, hint. There may be multiple. I will also be coming to the Midwest to do some dates in November. I'll be in Wisconsin and Tennessee and elsewhere. I'm also going to be going back to Canada to perform in Montreal and Ottawa and Toronto, and that's coming up this fall as well. I'm super excited about all of these dates. I'll be doing quite a number of shows on the West Coast as well, including some Christmas concerts around Oregon, including at this gorgeous performing arts center in Newport on the Oregon coast for two performances in a row there, and I'm really excited about that. But I've also got some collaborations that I've been up to lately that are going to be released, and I'll be, projects that I'm not spearheading, but that I've gotten to be a guest artist on, and so I'll be announcing those things as they come up on my social media, which I try to keep updated. And I'm also, I haven't started working on the project yet, but I've started to sort of lay the groundwork for what's coming next for me in terms of putting out a new project. I'm going to start working on that in the next couple of months. But in the meantime, I'm still focusing a lot on my From the Wild Sky album, and I'm just continuing to put things out that hopefully will maybe a new music video. That's in my dream, my little dream bag. But hopefully that'll happen. But if not, I will definitely be having a lot more things come up this fall that I'm feeling kind of inspired now. It's been a really busy summer, a lot of traveling and some creating, and I'm excited to just kind of share the fruits of that with everybody now that I've had a chance to start settling down from the crazy summer.
Yes, understood. Well, we all need that downtime. Halie, you've got some very exciting things coming up, and it sounds like I need to invite you back on this show just to keep up with you and to keep my listeners right up to date with you. And so, again, Halie, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations on everything. And thank you for taking time today to be part of the show and share with us something so deeply personal from your heart. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about Halie, visit the website www.halieloren.com. Look her up on Facebook. That's HALIELOREN. She is one heck of an artist, and I'm a big fan. Halie, once again, thank you, and we'll be talking with you soon. And I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me on. It's great to talk to you.
Likewise, and you're welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, we wish you a lot of good fortune in your own lives, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of this podcast, nor is any content intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness of any kind, or substitute for proper professional care in this regard. We sincerely hope you have enjoyed today's show. If you're not already a subscriber, please click on the link and join our ever-growing community of goodwill. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please contact us at drhoperadio@gmail.com. That's drhoperadio@gmail.com. All of us here at the Deidre Reigel Hope and Healing Radio Show wish you a day filled with hope and joy. Till next time, namaste.